A lot of things have happened in football recently that are hard to believe. I still think that Wayne Bridge KSI thing was some sort of elaborate AI rendering, for example. But last season's Bundesliga might well be the best. Before 2024, Bayer Leverkusen were infamous for never having won the league. So much so that it was an enormous part of the club's identity, and then Xabi Alonso just went and won it for them, unbeaten. And this is the quite incredible story of how that happened. Back in April 2002, Klaus Toppmöller's Leverkusen were 5 points clear of the Bundesliga summit with 3 matches remaining, only for the unthinkable to happen. A shock 2-1 home defeat to Werder Bremen, followed by a loss at struggling Nuremberg, saw Leverkusen overhauled by Borussia Dortmund going into the final day. A talented squad featuring Michael Ballack, Zé Roberto and a young Dimitar Berbatov had plenty still to play for. Their last 3 matches of the season would feature this final day Bundesliga salvage mission against Hertha Berlin, a DFB Pokal final showdown with Schalke and a Champions League final against Real Madrid. An incredible treble was still on the cards, but what ensued was, how can I put this, not fun. We actually won our final Bundesliga match, but Dortmund also won. Ex-Leverkusen captain Jens Nowotny, who made 293 appearances for the club, tells FourFourTwo now. It was such a crushing blow after coming so close. We were stunned, causing us to lose the cup final against Schalke. By then, we were in freefall and gave ourselves little hope against Real in the Champions League final, so they beat us too. Now, even if you're not a Leverkusen fan, you'll remember this one. Zidane, volley, whoosh, euphoria, etc. The second best goal ever scored at Hampden Park after David Gray's 92nd minute cup final winner for Hibs, no ats please. It was just so extremely frustrating though, according to Nowotny. Not only to lose 3 titles in 3 matches, but also to deny our fans, the coaches, the staff, and the entire city the opportunity to celebrate together. Now that devastating campaign confirmed the club's Neverkusen nickname. Ever the bridesmaids, Leverkusen had come second in Germany's top division for the 4th time in just 6 years, meaning that in 98 years of their history, they had lifted just 2 major trophies. The UEFA Cup in 1988, beating Espanyol on penalties, and the DFB Pokal in 1993. That was until this man arrived. When Alonso replaced the dismissed Gerardo Seoane in early 2022, they languished in 17th, joint bottom of their Champions League group and out of the cup, eliminated in the first round by third-tier Elversberg. He quickly installed a back 3, encouraging his players to press high and dominate possession. Having taken just 0.6 points per game in their first 8 matches, they improved that to 1.7 under the Spaniard and sealed a 6th place finish and qualification for the Europa League. Alonso's prize for this good start was the trust to revamp the squad. Granit Xhaka, Jens Hoffmann, Nathan Teller, Alex Grimaldo and Victor Boniface all arrived that summer, funded largely by Moussa Diaby's departure to Aston Villa. Leverkusen made a blistering start to 23-24, winning their opening 3 encounters against Leipzig, Borussia Mönchengladbach and Darmstadt. Few people though expected that run to continue given their next assignment. Thomas Tuchel's all-conquering reigning champions, the recipients of the last 11 league titles, who had also won their first 3 matches. Now Bayern Munich took an early lead in that game through new signing Harry Kane, and despite Grimaldo equalising, they eventually went 2-1 in front in the 86th minute. However, showing a newfound resilience, Leverkusen threw the proverbial 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧 at them and won a 94th minute penalty. Midfielder Ezequiel Palacios levelling it at the death. The Bayern comeback preceded a run of 8 consecutive league victories as Leverkusen topped the standings in late November. Draws against Dortmund and fellow surprise title challengers Stuttgart preceded a 3-0 win against Eintracht Frankfurt and a 4-0 battering of Bochum to crown Leverkusen as Herbstmeister, which I'm like 80% sure is how you say that, the unofficial title given to the league leaders at the winter break. But it wasn't merely that Leverkusen were winning. They were playing teams off the park with a style that squeezed the best out of their players. Boniface had registered 25 goal involvements at the halfway stage, Grimaldo, ostensibly a defender, 16. No midfielder in the Bundesliga had covered more ground or been more reliable in possession than Granit Xhaka, who Alonso described as the brain of this team. The jewel in the crown, however, had been 20-year-old Florian Wirtz, a silky playmaker back from an ACL injury, and in the Bundesliga top 3 for assists, key passes, dribbles and sprints. Their manager made them more than the sum of their parts, yes, but those parts were looking a lot higher in quality than anybody had realised. Leverkusen would then take 10 points from their first 4 Bundesliga matches of 2024. Their most tantalising showdown though came in early February. With Bayern the visitors and just 2 points behind the underdogs, this felt like the moment they could wrestle back the title. But Leverkusen put on a show. 1-0 up after 18 minutes as, soap opera alert, Bayern loanee Josip Stanisic scored against his parent club. Grimaldo then doubled their lead in the 50th minute before Jeremy Frimpong made it 3-0 in stoppage time. Tuchel's juggernauts, who'd switched to a back 3 purely to nullify Leverkusen, enjoyed more possession of the ball, yes, but were outmanoeuvred in almost every other way. Caution, though, would turn to genuine belief as they won their next 7 league matches to make it 9 on the bounce. One more win would not only make it 10 in a row, but end Leverkusen's 120-year wait for German supremacy. Of course, though, because history just has a twisted sense of humour, next up was Werder Bremen. Those again. The narratives wrote themselves. The day of the game, thousands of fans gathered through the streets with flares, banners and scarves. There was an excitement in the air, but also an unbearable anxiety over the idea of history repeating itself. Back in 2002, it took just 5 minutes for nerves to turn to despair as Bremen got in front. 22 years on, Boniface's 25th minute penalty paved the way for a 5-0 rout. Wirtz capping his sensational campaign with a hat-trick that made a mockery of any pre-match butterflies. Even Xhaka, so often an unsung hero in midfield, got his name on the scoresheet. At full-time, all hell broke loose. Accounts from various Leverkusen fans to FourFourTwo state they'd never experienced a celebration like that one. Just a feeling of immense relief, happiness. I'd been a ball of tension all week. Deep down, I was sure we'd do it, but I just needed it to be over. Just thinking about it still gives me goosebumps. Nowotny, too, drank it all in. It was absolutely crazy to witness, he told us. There was also a tiny bit of sadness in the back of my mind, though, because I saw what we could have given to the people of Leverkusen 22 years earlier. I was incredibly happy that the club had finally laid that ghost to rest, but the thought that we could have sparked a similar kind of happiness made it feel bittersweet. A beer-drenched Alonso, usually so composed, could not contain his delight. "We have to enjoy and celebrate today with our families, friends and fans," he said, wiping suds from his eyes. "This was my first full season as a coach. The feeling is amazing." Once the pitch invaders had departed, the celebrations decamped to pubs and street corners across Leverkusen. Neverkusen was dead, but their job still wasn't done. Their DFB Pokal campaign had continued by ways of wins over Stuttgart and Dusseldorf, teeing up a final against second-tier Kaiserslautern in Berlin. There would be 97th and 96th minute equalisers to earn draws against Dortmund and Gladbach respectively before their season was finished. It made them the first men's team to enjoy an unblemished Bundesliga campaign. Played 34, won 28, drawn 6, lost 0. The Invincibles topped the table on 90 points, the second highest in league history, with a 17-point gap to runners-up Stuttgart and 18 to Bayern in third. And now, attention could turn to that treble. First up, Atalanta in the Europa League final, and finally, their luck did run out. In a rare tactical misstep, Alonso started with no recognised striker, Wirtz playing in an unfamiliar false 9 role, as Atalanta hit them on the break expertly to win 3-0. After 51 matches unbeaten, now the Neverlusen finally tasted defeat. But there was no time to mope, with Kaiserslautern up just 3 days later at Berlin's Olympiastadion. Xhaka shot Leverkusen ahead after 16 minutes, and not even a first-half red card could affect the outcome. An historic double, if not a continental treble, was theirs. And despite persistent rumours across the summer, Wirtz, Grimaldo, Frimpong, Boniface, Palacios, Tapsoba, and most importantly, Alonso all remain at Leverkusen as the club fights to defend both its titles and leave its mark in the Champions League. How they'll fare and how long they'll stay remains to be seen, but for 12 glorious months in North Rhine-Westphalia, they changed a decades-old narrative of hard luck stories into one of football's greatest tales of triumph.